Talking Music with Big Andy. On this week's show, Fury are talking music with me, Big Andy. Hello and welcome to the podcast. And this week I have with me I forgot your last name, Julian Jenkins, lead singer with the heavy metal band Fury from the UK. Hi, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you've had a kind of rebirth with the band because, I mean, some people will know the origins of the band go back to like the early 2000s, and the band kind of did a string of UK support slots and also European support slots, and that's with some big name bands and played some major festivals and all that kind of stuff. And then in 2012, the band kind of not fell apart, but it kind of separated and went different ways to do different things. And you've got a different lineup now to anything that was going on then, and you've completely kind of started again almost. So when did you actually start the new sort of version of the band?
I think you may have us there slightly confused with Fury UK.
Okay.
I know it's very, very confusing. Very confusing. Too many bands with the word Fury in the name.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. It happens quite a lot.
I pride myself on my research as well.
Well, no. It's definitely. I mean, I wish I'd have picked a different band name because so there are way too many bands at the time. But although it's funny because we both us and Fury UK, who basically then now became Absolver, I think we both started around a very similar time, and we both did a similar sort of genre, and I've had I guess similar kind of trajectories, played similar festivals, so it's all very confusing. But no, with us, we put out we started gigging through the early 2000s. But I mean, for me, I would say that Fury really got properly started in about 2010, 2011. And that's when we put out our first EP. And then we did two EPs kind of back-to-back years, 2011, 2012. And then from sort of 2014, we did our first album and kind of went from there, really. But we did have a 20 sort of end of 2017, 2018, a huge lineup change. So the lineup that had been on the first kind of two albums pretty much completely changed apart from myself, and it was all for various different reasons. It wasn't just like everyone just fell out or anything like that. People got different opportunities. So some people wanted to go and have a family, which is fair enough, So at that point it was sort of like, I mean, we our second album would come out sort of a year previous, 2016, and at that point, it's sort of like, okay, well, what are we going to do? And that's when Becky came into the band, and then shortly after that, then Tom came into the band, and then a little while after that, then Jake came into the band, and then we set to work. We sort of did a few shows, sort of gelled together, and then set to work recording what would be the grand prize, which then came out in 2020. And that's why there was a big kind of gap between, so Lost in Space came out 2016 and the grand prize 2020. And there's about a 4-year kind of gap between. And that's why really there was a huge lineup change. And, it takes time to sort of say gel together. Yeah.
Well, I apologise for that. It's quite strange because of the fact that the first album you did came out in 2014,
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
and the there's a couple of websites I went to have a look at,
Mm.
and they kind of almost follow the bands almost follow on from each other. So
Mm.
there's an assumption reading your stuff on the websites that it's the same band.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's
I
that's
apologise for that immensely because I normally like to get my research done well, and that's upset
no,
me.
don't worry. That's yeah. It's not your fault. Like I say, I mean, I mean, it's Fury was a name that I think I picked. When we had to do our first gig, and it was like I think it's like 5 minutes before we were about to go on stage. It's like, oh, what's your band called? It's like, oh, I don't know, Fury. It sounded metal enough.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like I think I love our logo, and I think it looks really cool and things like that. But like in hindsight, and I wish that I kind of would have picked a different name because I mean, back when we started gigging, it's talking 2003, really. You didn't really think about Google searches and then Facebook search and think you
yeah,
just thought, oh, okay, it's just a name sort of thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I do kind of wish I'd have picked something a bit more but unique. And we've toyed with the idea, should we change it now? But the problem is we've got albums and t-shirts and tea towels even with all the logo on. So it's a bit like, oh, if we change it now, it might be a
Yeah.
bit detrimental. But there we go.
What you need to do is work out something that Fury could stand for, and just put little dots in between the words, so that
Mm,
rather than
that's it. That's it. Yeah. I have kind of thought, yeah, maybe we could do something like that, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think, yeah, people do struggle sometimes to find us on, like Facebook and things like that
I
because
mean, the good thing is the fact that, as far as I know, I mean, the other band aren't around. The band I got confused with aren't around anymore. I don't know about other ones, but it's certainly not. You're not going to get confused with those again too much. I'm sorry I did that. To be honest, there you go.
no,
Anyway,
no, no.
with your band, so the first album, 2014, that was the Lightning Dream,
That's correct. Yeah.
and then Lost in Space 2016, and as you say, Grand Prize 2020. And has the new album, has Born Sin come out yet, or is it
Yeah. Yeah.
due out?
Born to Sin came out on March the 18th.
Oh, okay, right, cool. And right, I mean, you mentioned some of the people in the band going for the lineup. There's yourself, Julian Jenkins on vocals, Becky Baldwin on bass. Now, Becky's also the bass player with Hands Off Gretel.
That's correct. Yeah.
At the moment, yeah, and she's been in a couple of other bands that are well known as well. Tom Fenn on drums and Jake Elwell on guitar.
That's correct. Yeah.
I've got something right. There you go. So, I mean, you has as that lineup have been together now for what 4 years, is it?
Let's think. Yeah, I mean, certainly Becky, Tom, and I. Yeah, since about 2018, and then Jake joined, I think, a year later, 2019. And it's crazy. I mean, I think because of how strange the last couple of years have been,
Yeah,
it's crazy. You think, oh yeah, actually, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So actually, yeah, it's been sort of like 4 or 5 years now. We've kind of been together as a lineup. And it's good. Like things are good, and then we've recently kind of quite organically, really, over the recording of sort of the last album, and when starting to play these shows this year, Naya, who's been on backing vocals, I think has now become a bit of a permanent member of the band as well.
yeah. I was going to say it's Naya. If is it pronounced Ifil? I feel, and she's. I mean, she's on a few of your videos and on a few of your tracks doing backing vocals and that kind of thing. And she's appeared a lot. But I also noticed that when you play live, you normally have 2 female backing vocalists as well.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a sort of a strange period. I mean, and the way that it's all kind of came about quite organically. So the guy who we sort of who's effectively our producer, Pete Newdeck. And he's done the last, well, pretty much every album with us. He's big on his backing vocals. So he's big, I mean, he's big into his like AOR sort of stuff, and he loves these layers of backing vocals. And from day one, he's always been trying to do more backing vocals, and first of all, I was quite resistant to backing vocals, it's not very metal, is it? Sort of stuff. But the more things have gone on, and certainly more, I think the songwriting has progressed. the more I love backing vocals, you know, and I'm sort of throwing ideas in, and then the more backing vocals have been on each album. And then it got to the point where when we did the grand prize, you know, I think pretty much every song has got, you know, BVs on, and then Naya sort of guested on a couple of those songs on that album. And then when it came to this album, it was just like, right, let's, you know, throw it all into it.
Yeah.
And then it's of course, but the thing is, at the time, we weren't even thinking about, well, live, because live performances, you know, hadn't been a thing for us, you know, for so long. And then it's sort of like, well, how are we going to do it live? And so I think, you know, what it sort of comes to, like, the way we kind of work at the moment, is Naya has now become pretty much just a permanent member of the band. So if you come to a show, you know, we are effectively a 5-piece now. And then when we do the bigger shows, you know, I think we get Jade involved as well. I get a lot of that's just because of the logistics. Because the sizes of stages, you know, we play vary from, you know, we can do big stages, you know, like festivals, whatever. But then, you know, obviously some of the smaller shows, you know, there's barely room for, you know, the 4 or 5 of us as it is. And then the, you know, logistics of actually travel and things like that. And that seems to be the way it sort of works. And plus, I mean, Jade, she's got, you know, her own thing, her own band, Vanitas, that she's, you know, heavily sort of getting, you know, they've just kind of started out and she's working on that. So yeah, that's the way it seems to have worked out, kind of, but it's been very organic and it's just happened. And yeah, I'm really pleased, you know, it's, I think we sound better than ever, so which is
And where does Naya come from? Did she come from another band, or is she just somebody that you knew?
Yeah, I mean, she was in a band called Aramantus a few years ago, which Jake was actually a part of at one time too.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, wow, we Naya and I are an item as well. So
okay.
So you know, and that's kind of how, you know, how obviously how we know each other.
It's interesting because, to be honest, I think the backing vocals give you an interesting sound, because the difference in the resonance and that kind of thing of your voice to the female voice, it gives it a very interesting sound, which what I find interesting is there are a lot of all male rock bands out there who have to use electronics to get that kind of different resonance going in, and that kind of depth of sound with their vocals. So, but you don't need to do that because you've got the difference there already. So that works. I think it works really well.
Yeah, this is it. And like I say, I mean, obviously when we started, you know, kind of adding more backing vocals on, you know, even sort of Lost in Space, there was a lot of, you know, me kind of harmonizing with myself. And then, you know, I mean, Pete would do some vocals and blah, blah. But, you know, it's sort of, you know, it never sounded, you know, it sounded okay, but it's obviously, I don't know. It's not the same sound as when you have, someone else, like sort of Naya who does it on the record and live as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
and it just sounds more organic. I think I know a word I keep using, but it does. It sounds more organic, and I think the proof's really in the pudding. When we went out and played the UR Rock Festival in Switzerland last November, we did it. We took both Jade and Naya came out, and I think we were certainly the only band to have dedicated backing vocalists. And there were lots of other bands that had that big kind of produced sound and had the backing vocals on backing tracks and all that.
yeah, yeah.
And it's they sound very polished, but it doesn't necessarily sound, I don't know, very rock and roll.
No.
And I remember after the show, one of the bands, a guy I think from a band called Fighter Five, we saw him backstage and he was like, "Oh, that was incredible. You had live backing vocals. Like, it sounds so good." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it's being made right there. The music's being made right there."
The thing I've always found about using any kind of backing track, whether it be for backing vocals or for strings or any of that kind of stuff, is it kind of limits your ability to, again, use the term, to make the music organic, to make it so that it flows.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you've got to work within the parameters of the backing track. You can't take it anywhere else, or anything like that, which you can if you're playing it live.
That's it. I mean, there are plenty of bands that use backing tracks, and if that's absolutely fine. That's the show they want to put on. That's great. But
yeah.
And I mean, we even obviously we have the ballad that was on the grand prize, Upon the Lonesome Tide. So we do that live, and of course we use a backtrack because it's got strings, and we don't have the money or room for an orchestra at the moment. So obviously we use a backtrack for that one song. But yeah, generally, especially for the faster stuff that we do, it would feel wrong, to me, because like I say, it's for us. I think we are effectively we're a rock and roll band, and it's and tempos go up and down a little bit, and it's all very free, and there's lots of hangs and stops and just feeling the music sort of thing.
And the other thing is from watching the videos of you live on stage, you've also got a floor show as well.
Again, it's I don't know,
dance moves.
That's it. We have fun on stage, and we always have a good time. It's you look forward to getting on stage and to playing, and I think a lot of the songs lend this, because they're quite upbeat, quite bouncy, and they lend themselves quite well to these little bits. And it's it's not to be taken too seriously, sort of thing. Like, but with these little sort of kicks, and I think in Casino Soleil, and little like driving kind of motions in Burnout and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think I do think that sometimes in rock and metal, things have become either a band is very serious or objectively just comedy. And I think there's something being lost in the middle there, where a band can play kind of earnest songs, but it's also fun, And I think there's something of that has been lost. So hopefully,
I think if you watch bands like the Foo Fighters, always been able to get that balance right, to be able to play some really good music and still have good fun on stage and have good fun with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and you look at, a band that I've always been heavily inspired by, Metallica. You look at especially their shows. Those early was it Live Shit, Binge and Purge, and that sort of late 80s, early 90s. Like, the songs they're singing are about the end of the world, and it's all quite sort of dour subject matter. But you see them on stage, and they're all like having the best time of their lives. Yeah, and I think it was something that really struck me quite early on. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why. I mean, if you look at our music, it sort of changed from being there was a lot of songs about like, oh, I've got to write something about the end of the world or something like this, and now there's a lot of stuff about just rock and roll and I don't know, a casino in space, and I don't know, because I think that changed to reflect this. Do you know what, I want to go out and I want to play music that's fun. I want to have fun, but not necessarily comedy at the same time.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I was going to say, I mean, what are your influences personally and as a band? I mean, you'd mentioned Metallica, but what other sort of
Yeah, I mean, the sort of the usual sort of selection of old metal bands. So yeah, obviously Metallica, Motorhead, Maiden, Megadeth, all of the M's, Annihilator. But yeah, so like, all those kind of old kind of metal bands, old. But I mean, also, I mean, personally, everyone that knows me knows that I love a bit of Phil Collins, a bit of Genesis, Michael Jackson. I mean, also Elton John. I mean, the list's endless for me. But I mean, I'm heavily inspired by obviously folk music. I love Dubliners. I love my sea shanties. Hence, that big ballad on the boat and all that sort of stuff. Queen, obviously, huge Queen fan.
yeah, I gathered that.
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah.
What's the song?
We Will Sing is the one that
We Will Sing. That's the one. Yes.
Tribute to Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
But yeah, Queen, Muse. I love Muse. Not that we really particularly sound anything like Muse, but I again, incredible band. Yeah, I mean, yeah, anything really. I mean, things like movie soundtracks and scores and computer game scores. So yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I know Jake is very much into his sort of progressive metal and things like that. Again, I mean, not that maybe that. I mean, I'm sure it creeps into his lead work definitely. At times, I know as a band we're not particularly progressive or anything like that. But yeah, there's just bits of everything, and I think for me, I'm always looking for different sorts of how can I mix this with this? I mean, at the moment, I mean, already I'm there's always new songs on the go. And at the moment, I'm quite big on, okay, well, how do I make, this Tina Turner sound like Motorhead and things like this? And how do I combine these different elements? Because I think that lends itself to, creating something that, it's not necessarily going to reinvent the wheel, but like an exciting sort of form of music. I mean, if you look at, on Born to Sin, we've got a song called Embrace the Demons. And it's got a real, I don't know what you call it, like a sort of shuffle like that. And it's, so it's not strictly kind of based in metal, but of course, when you play it on a guitar and it's tuned down to D and you got the drums and the bass, it is metal because, it's loud and it's fast and it's fun. But yeah, so it's always trying to mix and match things and trying to make them sound good.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I've been listening to I've been listening to some of your songs and watching looking at the videos on YouTube. You've got some great stuff on there, to be honest. And I haven't watched all of it yet, but I will get around to watching all of the. You've got a live set from the 1865 Club in Southampton.
Yeah,
and that's like 40, 50 minutes long.
That's it. Yeah.
But that I mean, I watched the first couple of tracks of that, and I thought that it's really good, really well recorded as well. And it shows you as a live band really, really well. And I think sometimes bands struggle with that at the moment because they when they record their stuff live, sometimes it comes across a little bit too loud or a bit, the quality loses something. But you've got a really good quality video there, so it's really good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that one. So I mean, that's thank you very much for that. Because that was a live stream or a recorded stream that then got put out. So not quite a live stream, but that we did that September. No, when was it? August? No, it was. I think it was the summer of 2020. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember what it does. I think it was put up at the beginning of August.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, it's good we came across a lot because obviously at the time we hadn't played live for over 6 months, I think. So, so it's So no, it's good. But I think that's again more to kind of testament to just we have so much fun on stage, and well, hopefully that sort of comes across.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was great. I mean, that was obviously at the time we didn't know when we were going to be playing live again. And that was the closest thing we had to it. And I think on that one, it's at some stage, we finish a song and then it's just like silence because there's no one, apart from the guy filming and the person on the sound desk, there's no one there.
You need to remix it with a crowd sound.
Yeah, this is it. But yeah, I was really happy with the sound, the way that kind of turned out.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I mean, these sort of live streams and these sort of recordings, which let's face it, are, I don't want to say amateur recordings, but they were the best we could do at the time because it was an unprecedented situation.
Absolutely.
So these live streams, they weren't always the best in terms of quality. But yeah, I remember listening to that. I think it sounded really good. I remember I think with that one, I remember the bass is really loud, which, I mean, it's cool. It works well for us and the stuff we do. And I remember, I think there's a lot of, from what I can remember, there's a lot of camera cuts. It's very fast and exciting. So, but again, it works for what we do.
Yeah, no, it's well edited and well put together. It works really well. As I say, as a live video, it works really well. It shows you as a live band. So it's something that I know a lot of people have a problem with, especially because of the last couple of years. You get bands who are fairly new to them and they go, yeah, but what are they going to be like live? They sound great in the studio, but doing something like that, people can actually watch that and see what you're going to be like live and hear what you're going to like as well. The tracks I liked of yours, I mean, there were, don't get me wrong, I couldn't say I would have found many that I didn't. There was none I didn't like. There were a few that maybe I liked a little less, but
yeah, that's fair.
But I liked, let me see, The World Is Mine. I really liked.
Yes,
that's really good. And Haul Away, which was the first one I saw, which has got
Naya on it.
Naya on it, and that was a re-recording.
Yes, yeah, we did.
Was that done in lockdown?
It was, yeah. So that was obviously The Haul Away was on the first album, Lightning Dream, and then I think, was it last year or no? I think it's 2020, wasn't it? We ran out of copies, so we had to get a new run done. So it's kind of partly to promote that. We thought, okay, well, let's re-record a couple of songs from the album, and make them sound better because as most bands' first album, our first album, it's okay, but there are definitely things that we sound a lot better now. And that's not any of the playing. That's just purely the recording equipment and methods and etc. Yeah. So we're like, okay, well, we'll re-record a couple of songs, and that was one of them. And yeah, I was really happy with the way that turned out.
I've got to say that one track that I absolutely thought was brilliant, and the main reason for this being is the fact that I am a huge horror film fan. I have another podcast that I do with my eldest son, where we review science fiction and horror films.
Oh, nice.
And the song "Hell of a Night" is brilliant.
Thank you very much.
The video for that and the song it kind of sums up me and a lot of the people I know, the way we are about horror films, and that it's sort of like, the best thing in the world is to spend your night just watching horror films.
That's it. It's what's quite funny about that, and I'll shock you now. I'm not really into horror films that much myself. But I mean, I say that I don't know. I like the old kind of 80s horror kind of films, the Halloweens, and I don't know. They had a really cool atmosphere to them. Yeah. That I don't think you get so much anymore. And so I suppose in a way, I guess I'm into that sort of, and I wanted to kind of try and capture that with the song. Hence why the chorus is obviously very cheesy, just monster movies, and which I know some people I think have found it a bit too cheesy, but I don't know. I to me it works with that genre and movie. But no, I'm glad you like that one. That's we had a lot of fun making that video as well. it was good. It was a long day, but we were quite fortunate. We had some students come down from well, we shot the video in Worcester. And we had some students come down from the University of Birmingham and doing the prosthetics and the makeup and all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, extremely grateful to them. And they did an incredible job. You know, amid all the zombies and everything. And then we had someone else do the makeup for the sort of the other monsters, like the Frankenstein's monster. And what do I obviously the Scream guy, and then we had Jack Torrance and things like that, you know. So it was honestly, it was a long day, but we had so much fun doing that. It was incredible.
It was good. It was really good to watch as well. It was good fun video.
I'm glad that. Well, I think again, it sort of goes to, you know, it's, you know, okay, maybe that song is a bit more on the sort of the fun kind of comedy sort of side, but you know, at the same time, I think it's still quite a homage to films, and you know,
and there's room for both. There's room for serious songs and for a bit of fun as well.
Absolutely,
you know, every band's done it. You know,
that's it.
That's a little bit more tongue in cheek than the others. You know,
that's it.
What else have I got? Rock Lives in My Soul.
Mm-hmm.
I like that's a good song. I like that. It's good feel to that. And If You Get to Hell First, I like that. Well,
yeah.
Song. I really like that.
That, I mean, you know, we had this idea about, okay, I think when we did the grand prize and the whole car theme and then, you know, motor racing, etc.
Yeah,
I think it kind of divided people a little bit, and people, because I guess you're either into motor racing or you're not.
Yeah.
So some people really liked it and some people not so much. And, you know, when thinking about, you know, themes for, you know, the next album, it was like, oh, what should we do? And it's like, well, we kind of divided people. So how about the next album? We just go like 101 metal. We're going to have a devil on a motorbike riding through hell. There's going to be fire and flames. So like, yeah, that's a brilliant idea. And I think universally people have gone, oh yeah, this is great, you know, sort of proper, you know, bring everyone back together. And then, so yeah, this idea that, okay, well, because we normally what we'll do with an album, you know, we'll have the theme, and then there'll be like you know, 2 or 3 songs on the album maybe that kind of relate to it, and you know, directly. I mean, hence why there's literally 2 songs on the album that've got the word hell in the title. That was a very conscious choice, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
To be, you know, it's that little extra bit of ridiculousness. You know, embrace the demons, born to sin, things like this. But yeah, and that Gets Hell First one. It's like, okay, well, you know, what, you know, doing this sort of retelling of this story about, oh, you're a, you know, aspiring, you know, sort of rock star that wants to make it big and sell your soul to the devil. And again, like, you know, that's what we just thought, okay, well, how do we do this in a video? And we were fortunate that we had some cool friends, including Carl, who was the bass player from Absolver. He plays the devil in the video. And just people, you know, willing to just have some fun with us. And yeah, I think it turned out really well.
No, it's a really good song. It works really well.
Who's this? It's Lost Love. The love that
I used to be the singer's boss, you know.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Man, it'd be great to be in a band, wouldn't it? Making a living, shouting on YouTube.
That ain't working.
I like the other one I like that's got Naya on it quite a lot is Nowhere to Be Seen,
Yeah.
which
So
sorry, no,
no, carry on.
no, I was just going to say it. I don't know why, but it kind of feels a bit different
Yeah,
than
yeah.
the other stuff.
Again, like I think it's that thing about trying to pull in different influences.
Yeah,
And that is I think there's definitely a big Phil Collins influence on that one. I think you can, especially in those verse parts, I think you can kind of hear it, very
yeah,
80s kind of Phil Collins kind of sound. And again, yeah, it was something different. And I mean, obviously lyrically as well, like we don't tend to do a lot of lyrics that are like sort of more somber, but with that one it was like, okay, well, let's try something different. And I think obviously people seem to respond to lyrics that they can relate to as well. So it's all very well telling these stories about selling your soul to the devil and pirates and all that sort of stuff, but I guess every now and then you want to hear a song that goes, oh yeah, I've felt that way and the sort of thing. So we try it that. It's not necessarily my favorite song. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I like the song just about the devil and rock and roll. But it's good to try these different things as well.
Yeah, well, I have to say it stood out because it sounds different. It was a bit like, oh, this is interesting. What's going on here?
I think it's always important, like you say, to try different things and try and add in different strings to your bow. Because for me, the worst thing would be if someone goes, well, it just sounds the same as what they've done before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that completely. The other one, of course, is the both live and the two different videos you have of for Burnout.
Oh right, yes, yeah.
But the song itself, I think, is great, and it has got that whole. It reminds me very much. I'm old, and I grew up with all the whole new wave of British heavy metal thing when it first came out, and all that kind of thing. And it really reminds me of that kind of the drive that the early stuff of the new wave of British heavy metal had. The kind of the bass player that Iron Maiden had, a friend of mine always calls it horse racing music. It's all like, and it kind of has that kind of feel to it. It doesn't sound like that, but what I mean? It has that kind of that momentum to it, which I really like. And it takes you back a bit to that kind of time of the sort of like when everyone was really hungry for the success of their bands, and it was kind of really kind of, yeah, we're gonna do it, and that's what I like that song.
That's cool. No, I like that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Burnout. I mean, it's turned out to be quite a popular song. People seem to really like that one. And it's funny because I mean, the sort of the kind of conception of that song really was after, because obviously we did the Lightning Dream and we did Lost in Space, and there was quite a lot of long songs on there. I mean, the Lost in Space ended with a 14-minute pirate song, and I think after that, certainly I kind of felt a bit like, okay, well, we've done all these sort of long songs, and I just want to write some nice simple songs, and it makes it easier to fit songs into the set when you have some shorter songs as well. You got half an hour set, and all your songs are 8-9 minutes. Like, play like 3 songs. But yeah, there was a definite sort of want to do some more concise songs, and I mean I've always liked fast upbeat music, like Motorhead and things like that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well let's try that. And yeah, I don't know, it's difficult to know where it really came from. It's just like, oh, it's a cool riff, and again I'm sure there's some pop and a bit of Phil Collins in there, mixed in with it, with all the melodies, things like that. I shouldn't say that, should I? I was gonna be like, oh my
god. I'm sure there isn't anybody out there these days going, I'm not interested if it's not metal.
Yeah, that's it. But and yeah, it turned out great, and things like having the, it didn't even really occur to me for a while that there's effectively 2 bass solos in the song. I was like, oh yeah, there is. There's one in the intro and then one later. I don't know, it just came about quite organically, again. But yeah, and then people seem to really like it, and obviously we tied it in with the driving theme of the album sort of thing. Yeah. And then yeah, we shot the video for it. That was the first video we did with the guy who now we regularly use, a guy called Elliot Withers from Lion Island Media, and he's incredible. Like he you know, he'll turn up and he knows, you know, he got the shots straight away. You know, he's like, okay, we're going to do this, blah, this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always to say it seems to become a favorite, you know, kind of when we play it. It's just one of those sort of fast, upbeat, just, you know, feel good sort of songs, really.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really good. I really enjoyed that. The only thing I would say is a friend of mine, I when I do these programs, I have a tendency to send him links and say, "Tell me what you think about this." You know, just so I get a little bit of other people's influence or, you know, or input of what I'm thinking, you know, what I'm looking at, and all that sort of thing. And the one thing he said to me was, "That welding's not good."
I mean, again, it worked out quite well. So that video was shot in a friend of ours in his garage, and it was sort of, we actually we weren't sure what song to put out, and we were going to do a different song, but it's like we couldn't really think about an idea to do for the video. So like, oh well, let's do Burnout then. You know, I mean, it's funny the way these things work, because actually, had we not put that out, I think, you know, things might be slightly different. You know, I think that song has definitely helped us sort of, you know, get out to more people, because I think it's proved so popular.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly glad we did. But yeah, so it's like, okay, Burnout, cars, blah, blah. Okay, I've got a friend that's really into cars. Do you know what? He's got a garage. The whole car theme of the album. Why don't we, you know, get our overalls back on like we did in the photo shoot? And you know, see if we can just film the video in his garage. You know, it's an actual working garage where he works on cars. You know,
Yeah.
So yeah, sort of messaged him. He's like, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, come round. Yeah, set up, blah blah. And we did. And then we had another friend, you know, who owns, I think, what's the car in the video? Is it I'm gonna get it wrong now, aren't I? Nissan Z, is it, or something like this? Anyway, but it's a cool looking car anyway.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like, oh, would you be in the video and drive your car? And he was like, oh yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, it worked out really well. And I say our friend Rob, whose garage we shot in, I mean, he loves that video because he said it just makes his garage look really good.
No, I mean, the thing was, it's funny because we were talking about it, and we have a few running jokes, me and my friends, and with a couple of them, we have this running joke about two of us used to work for the benefits agency, and we watched the Full Monty.
Oh yeah.
And we were saying, if somebody had done that in our claiming office, they would have been kicked out by the security guards. And so when he saw that, it's like the line from the Full Monty when they're watching Flashdance. And the guy turns around and says, "Oh, Welding wouldn't stand on." So that was what that was about than anything else. But I just thought it was quite funny from the video. But no, that's a really good video. It's a really good song. I like all of the stuff you do. It's really, as I say, it does remind me a lot of those early days of the you know, standing in sweaty clubs watching Iron Maiden when they were about 18, you know, things like that.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, because that's, you know, I mean, I talk to my dad quite frequently about, you know, I mean, you know, in fact, I was, you know, talking to him yesterday and about, you know, when he was younger, and he was sort of saying, oh, he used to do his bread round of a Saturday morning with his dad. He got paid £7 a week, which, you know, he said was, you know, quite a lot of money in them days, you know.
Yeah.
And he said with that £7, you know, his dad would drop him off in town after the bread rounds in Birmingham. He'd go down to the Birmingham Odeon, see what was on, and he said, you know, he saw Motorhead for like £3, you know, he saw Maiden for a £5, something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And he said he used to be able to go and buy a gig ticket for that night and then go down the Villa and watch them play all for under a tenner. And it's like, wow. Imagine that.
A little while ago, I found some old tickets from gigs that I went to around that sort of time. I went to see Black Sabbath at the Hammersmith Odeon. It cost me £6.50.
Brilliant, isn't it? But that's it. And yeah, so I mean, so we talk frequently about that because, you know, you know, a lot of these bands, you know, that I really love, like he went to see them, you know, back in sort of early 80s sort of thing. And so I'm obviously immensely jealous that, you know, you got to see all these bands. But like, yeah, you know, that whole vibe and that you know, obviously I've watched the old videos back of, you know, like Maiden and Motorhead, Metallica, all these bands, you know, playing in these small clubs. And again, it was that excitement, and I think that's something that certainly I try and infuse into our music. You know,
Yeah.
this sort of fast, energetic, exciting music. And
Yeah.
I like to think that, you know, it's something that we do achieve, and certainly in these last run of shows that we've been doing, the responses we've been getting from people are just incredible. Like, they're like, oh, that was amazing. Like, it's like the most fun I've had in years. And they're like,
Yeah.
is that okay to say that was fun? It's like, of course that was okay. You know, that's why
Yeah,
we're here.
it's
You're here to have a
about.
good time. That's it. Yeah.
So at the moment you're gigging in support of the Born to Sin album, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're kind of in the middle of everything at the moment. Where are you playing at the moment?
Well, our next show is actually on Sunday, and we're doing the Brixham Pirate Festival, which, which, yeah, I
Let's
can't
rock and
wait.
roll.
Absolutely, and I mean that came about because of pretty much because we did the Lonesome Tide video down in Brixham, and that came about because I did a sailing course years ago. I stayed in touch with the instructor because he was big into his music as well. And so when it came time, okay, we've got this ballad, and it's all about, you know, a sailor that goes away, and you know, his wife is waiting for him on the cliffs and all sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wouldn't it be good if we could film a video for this on a boat? And I knew that instructor Steve, he and his business partner Tim had gone into restoring kind of old sort of fishing boats, things like this. So I just messaged him and I said, do you have a boat we could come and just, and in my head it was just sort of like, oh, we'd stand on the deck and, you know, look sort of, you know, into the middle distance very epically.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, he's like, oh, come down. He's like, oh, bring the drum kit down, we get it set up on the deck. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And again, so we did that, and this was I think mid-September 2020. So obviously it was in one of those points where we could go and, you know, because that's the thing, we tried to keep as busy as we could when, you know, and do what and that's why we've got a load over the last 2 years. We filmed like a load of music videos because for a lot of the time that was all we could really do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went down to Brixham, and yeah, you know, we got down there and we set up on the boat, and then Elliot, the videographer, came, and yeah, I don't know, it worked out really well because, you know, we were a bit worried obviously about with the weather and things like that, and I think like the days leading up to it, there was a lot of rain and sort of that, but the forecast was good for, you know, the couple of days, you know, surrounding the video. And honestly, the weather, it couldn't have been more perfect. Like, yeah, during the day, you know, we set up and, you know, he's filming us like singing on the boat, like, again, doing all these like long, you know, stares into the distance, and it's really warm but like overcast, and it just, you know, made, you know, it looked great. And then in the sort of afternoon when we did the shots upon Berry Head of Naya singing, you know, Out to the Sea, we just had the most beautiful sunset, and it was just like it couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was an incredible experience.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. I love it. So how long is this tour you're doing at the moment? How long are you going to be in support of the album?
Well, at the moment it goes up until the end of the year.
Okay.
So with basically the last date, which I don't think we've properly announced yet, but it's not a secret. But the last date will be in Worcester, which is obviously my, you know, hometown, on December 23rd. So we do a Christmas gig at the Mars Bar in Worcester. But yeah, I mean, and then we're going everywhere really. I mean, we've already been to Scotland, and then we've already been down to Brighton, and we've already been we're going. And we're doing Devon this weekend, but we're going back to Devon in a couple of months as well. But I mean, everywhere in between. And then we're going into Europe as well. Cool. We're going to Germany, Netherlands, France. We've got a couple of days in France. Switzerland again for the Euro Rock Festival. So yeah, just all over. We're doing Download as well, playing on the Baldy Takeover stage.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, we've got lots of lots of places. So I don't think there's anywhere, certainly in the UK. I'll go over to Ireland for the first time in, is it September? No, I think it's November. I think.
No, it sounds like you've got a very full year lined up.
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, certainly after, you know, these last couple of years, and it's weird because things just seem to have come together at the right time. I mean, you know, releasing the new album, you know, just a week before, we started gigging. With again, I mean, it was half planned, but it just everything just seemed to fall into place.
Yeah,
So it's nice. Say after the last couple of years, we're just sort of raring to go. And if I say so myself, like, I mean, you said about that video in Southampton. I think we are at least 3.5 times a better band now than we were back then. So,
well, that sounds good. Sounds good. So, where from there? Where do you want to take this from there? I mean, have you got any firm plans for the future, or is it just a matter of playing it by ear and seeing what happens?
I mean, I say we obviously the rest of this year is gigging, probably some more music videos in there at some point, but yeah, getting out there as much as we can. We have talked about, okay, we need to schedule a meeting to talk about, okay, what are we going to do next year? Because obviously what we don't want to do is, we feel we've got a lot of momentum at the moment, and what we don't want to do is get to the end of this year and then, oh, what now?
Yeah.
So it's always about thinking ahead. I mean, we've got some ideas about, future releases. I mean, in terms of material, like I'm constantly writing, so there's a whole we're not short on ideas, definitely. But I mean, of things that I would like to happen, I mean, it'd be great if we could get on. I mean, I think something that's quite missing for us is a really good support slot for a big band now. That would be incredible, and I'm sure every band wants that. But yeah, I guess, and who knows? I mean, obviously, maybe label interest, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, it depends if it's a good deal for us. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just trying to expand as much as possible, really. And yeah, maybe some more festival slots next year. Kind of creeping up the bill a little bit.
Okay. No, that sounds good.
But yeah,
I
more.
hope everything comes together. I hope everything works well for you and that sort of thing, and that this year's good, and that next year's even better. Can I just ask? There's only one thing that kind of, I don't know, that I wondered about.
Oh,
is it? No, it's nothing major. Is it difficult to arrange what you're doing as a band around the fact that Becky's in another band?
I mean, to be fair, Becky does a lot of the organisations. But I mean, I mean, obviously, Hands Off Gretel have decided, okay, this year they're going to rise, and next year I think is when they're going to look at releasing a new album, and then I assumedly, I mean, obviously I don't know, I'm not really on the inner circle for their stuff, but yeah. I presume then that's when they would sort of talk. But I guess it's just about being organised, really. I'll say, I guess the good for us, it's kind of worked out that they've decided this year they're going to just focus on writing, because it means we can just go crazy with sort of playing. Obviously next year, obviously, because we are going to want to keep the momentum going. I don't know. I mean, it'll work out. Like I say, Becky, is very organised. And I mean, she's done the large majority of the gig booking for this year, so we'll find a way.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean,
I wasn't trying to throw a spanner in the works.
No. It's like I say, it could be difficult, certainly if if you were disorganized, but I think yeah. But no, we'll work it out.
Cool. No, that's good. And so I hope everything works out for you with everything. I mean, it's. I think you've listening to your music, you've definitely progressed, and you've built on your music, and that from listening to the stuff from the Lightning Dream, listening to the stuff on the new album, it's definitely you've built, you've worked hard, and you've made yourself a sound, and it works really well. Thank you. Well. And I hope everything goes well for you this year, next year, and in the future. Thank you for being on the show. It's been really good talking to you.
No worries. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
To everybody watching, listening, whatever, check out Fury. I will put links up to their videos and to their social media with this when it comes out. And check them out. Watch out for them playing local to you. Go and see them, support them, and I think you'll be happy that you did. Okay. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody for watching. And I will see you again next time. Thanks a lot. Bye. Please don't forget to click on like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be really, really cool if you could do that. And if you've got any comments at all to make or anything you want to, any bands you'd like to see on here, then just leave me a note in the comments. Thank you. Talking Music with Big Andy.